Oh my god. Si, what have they done? What have they done to our boy?
I knew this was happening, yet I was not ready for it to happen. Do you ever have that feeling where it's like, this is going to end badly?
Yeah,
This
well,
was not what I was expecting, though.
No, I mean, last October when they announced a whole bunch of stuff for the Silent Hill Revival Project, or whatever the hell they called it, it was like, we got a Silent Hill F, there was the remake of Silent Hill 2, and then Silent Hill Ascension, which they always said was going to be a community-driven thing, and I was always curious what the hell that was going to be in terms of how it was going to manifest or whatever. And now that it's out, I did not see them putting a Battle Pass / Season Pass on a set of cutscenes. But then again,
that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, and it's like, it's Konami. So there's a few things to get to, just in regards to what this thing actually is. So now that it's finally out, Silent Hill Ascension is a daily, pretty much, story that's rolling out across the 16 weeks. Then they're going to do it again. There'll be various different choices that happen across the first 16 weeks. That when they do it again, people can vote to do different things. But the initial rollout is all predicated on giving players, quote unquote players, because this is just people who are choosing to watch on the dedicated app or online or whatever. Influencer points, and that's when microtransactions come in, because they want you to pay for influencer points so that you can choose to affect the story that plays out across the 16 weeks. Like we just said, there's also a season pass, which is $20 / £20, which unlocks a whole bunch of puzzles that you would otherwise do each day to try and get the influencer points yourself. So you can either pay up front, you can pay your way through. I don't even know if it's a game really. Pay your way through this game, kinda. And then, or you can wait and try and get influencer points per day. But the whole way the story is going to roll out, this interactive story, is very much at the mercy of whoever has the most disposable income. There's more stuff to this in regards to how stupid it all is and some of the stuff that you get on the Battle Pass. But thoughts on the state of it?
The state of it is exactly the right way to put it. Oh, the state of it. Like, we didn't know what this thing was for the longest time. Like, they announced it and it was incredibly vague, and the way they explained it was just... did not give us anything to grab hold onto. So I feel like literally just kind of coming up to Halloween when it was happening, still kind of like, I don't really know what this is.
No.
And yeah, it's essentially, as you say, a set of interactive cutscenes. It's a show that you get to decide. You, again, in quotation marks, get to decide the sort of canon run through of things. But really what that comes down to, as you say, is whoever's got the most money basically gets to sway the vote, because that's where the money goes. It's either on cosmetic stuff for the live chat, which is a whole other thing, or you get there's one choice per every 5-minute episode. And you basically can influence the choice of that. You don't just click on it and go, I'm going to use my points. I'm going to spend loads of money to gain more points, so my choices matter more, which is hilarious, because apparently beforehand they were like, don't worry, the Twitter trolls is going to be 10,000? There's going to be millions of people watching this. I don't think it's going to go that way.
It's kind of like it's almost like they took Twitch plays Pokemon or Twitch plays something and then try and do that with Silent Hill, which the whole reason that blew up was because it was free and because it was fun and because it was immediate. And like you said, episodes every night apparently range between 5 to 15 minutes in terms of the overall length, the window of time you have to get in there and spend your money and affect the story and whatever. But one of the things that you get with the season pass, like you said, is stickers that you can put on your profile, things that you can spam the chat with or whatever. One of them is just a big sticker that says "It's trauma," which is already just, how do they not know? I mean, one of the biggest things that came out of the reveal of Silent Hill 2's remake was how incredibly on the nose the depiction of James Sunderland, or Sutherland, I forget his name, Sunderland I think it is, was in regards to the themes of that game, the mental trauma, the reveal over time of what's really going on, and his entire headspace. And if you haven't played through that game, it's one of the greatest reveals of all time. It's easily one of the greatest horror games of all time, all specifically because of the slow reveal and the payoff at the end, or near the end. This is one of those things where they steered into it with the remake, Bloober Team's remake, and we can talk about the state of Konami in the wider sort of sphere as well. I've got a few talking points in terms of the history of them across the last 10 years or so. But with Silent Hill, they're now trying to sort of meme the trauma, and it's the weirdest, I don't know what the hell that is. I mean, already there's tons of memes, there's tons of graphics and stuff doing the rounds of just taking screenshots from Silent Hill 2 and just putting the "It's Trauma" sticker on James's face. Yep. But what do you think they're trying to do with any of this?
I think they're trying to go for the younger audience. That aims to me at the TikTok generation that kind of makes fun of that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it just doesn't gel with Silent Hill. And also, I mean, I don't know its breakdown and market when it comes to its audience, but I imagine its audience is still mostly made up of people that played the original games.
Yeah.
So they don't want this, and I think they're going to steer into it even harder. I think It's Trauma is going to be one of those memes that gets referenced in Silent Hill 2 2 remake. I bet you can unlock that sticker in some form, or it's hidden somewhere in that game now, just because it's blown up, and they're going to think that that's funny. But everyone is not laughing with you, Konami, are they? They're like, very much laughing at you.
It's just like the overall like way that they're attempting this is like they're not remaking Silent Hill 1. It was like, let's go with the sort of fan favorite, which is Silent Hill 2. But then steering into that, and then like I said, the Bloober Team reveal wasn't received that well. I didn't think it looked terrible. I quite like Bloober Team. I quite like the variety of stuff they put out, but I get why people don't like them. But it was one of those things where you're steering so much into the most on-the-nose depiction of this character in this story that to then capitalize on it with its trauma thing is a level of tone-deaf, like,
yes.
the way you're approaching it is just anathema to what Silent Hill is supposed to be. And that thing's kind of fascinating in itself. But yeah, so you do get various stickers, cosmetics, things that apparently affect the visuals of what you're seeing on your version of that story by the looks of it. But the UI is another thing to touch on, because it just kind of looks like it's like Sky Sports, just a constant feed of stuff everywhere on the screen.
It does,
Nothing against Sky Sports, but it's not what I expected from Silent Hill. I mean, like,
it's not a horror video game, no, for sure. It's a complete mess. The live chat apparently just runs 24/7, so when videos aren't playing, people are just, talking all kinds of guff, basically, in the live chat, which is hilarious. And yeah, what a complete and utter mess. Even the actual videos themselves look terrible. Have you seen the episode? Like, the animation's shoddy.
It's not great.
It doesn't look... Look, the Silent Hill transmission thing, speaking sort of more broadly, was just like, cool, I'm really excited to see Silent Hill come back. I've wanted something Silent Hill for so long, and they just threw so much at the wall immediately. You mentioned a bunch of games. I don't even think that's all of them. I'm sure there's like Township or something else. And they mentioned that there's going to be new movies and stuff like that as well that are in development. There's so much going on, but this is how you restart Silent Hill, isn't it? Like, the franchise has been dead for years. The first thing you do is this predatory absolute mess. Even aside from the predatory stuff, monetization wise, it's just a complete mess. Even if it didn't have that aspect.
You dig it up and you put a little waistcoat back on it and you go, dust it off a bit.
Dust it down, yeah.
Just go back down, because we're not actually going to use this for anything. It's it's one of those things where maybe the sheer amount of projects they have on the go, like you just said, and it was last October when they announced everything, maybe they do have so many different irons in the fire that this just happened to be the first thing that we see. But I think this being indicative of the overall revival thing is possibly the worst possible taste you could have given fans, because it's a joke. Like, I mean, it reminds me of when the Silent Hill pachinko machine came out, and it was Konami's Twitter or whatever at the time going, we have a big Silent Hill announcement, we have all these things to come out, and it was just a pachinko machine. And
they did one with skateboards. Do you remember that? Yeah. Everyone was like so sure it was going to be the Silent Hill 2 remake reveal, and no, it's a skateboard with Pyramid Head on it.
Funny enough, I forget the name of the artist, which is bad of me. I forget the name of the artist who designed Pyramid Head, but he tweeted a couple of days ago, I wish I never designed Pyramid Head. It's just because at this point it's just a meme, it's an icon, it's sort of a general thing that you can pay for a battle pass and just get attached to your profile or whatever. It's nowhere near what it was supposed to be.
Is he in Fortnite yet? Because I mean, it's
oh my god, doing the gritty. I refuse to know what the gritty is, but I know that the gritty is a thing. I keep seeing the gritty being referenced. James Sunderland will definitely be in Silent Hill. Definitely be in Fortnite. Jiving his way around down the hills. But in terms of Konami overall, I just wanted to mention that in as well as this, you've got all the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection stuff happening, which is another weird project, because you can kind of just roll it all into that idea of Konami just sort of prodding the embers and being like, okay, what do we want to be? Because the last sort of 10 years was them steering into it was like sports equipment and pachinko machines and everything other than being a diehard video game company. And then the pachinko stuff's still massive in Japan, but it doesn't feel like it sustained them enough. It seemed like they wanted to come back to video games, and then it was like, okay, Metal Gear stuff, we've got some Castlevania collections out there, the Netflix show is incredible, both of them are really solid. I prefer the first season, but whatever. It's one of those things where they're trying to revive various things that are associated with their name, and the TMNT collection as well, and then Metal Gear, and it's like, the Metal Gear collection is fine. Like, you can tell there's a lot of effort been put into various ancillary materials, like you can play the original games, there's all these pieces of artwork you can unlock and things like that. But then the state of the game is just, it's not even running at 60, it's actually a worse version of the HD one that was out before. Do you think it's just them like testing the waters in the most sort of like corner cutty cash grabby way, and then they'll put the money in?
I don't expect it in any shape or form. Again, same thing with Metal Gear, where it's like, this is the grand return after Survive, is it? It's a collection, sure, okay, that's not particularly interesting, but they couldn't even get that right. People are quite right to be angry about Kojima's name being kind of scrubbed off the credits for that as well. But also, what comes next for Metal Gear is the Metal Gear 3 remake, which is using all the same voice clips from the original game. And they're not even going to bother re-recording anything. They don't want to get the original cast back in and have to pay them. They're literally just going to drag and drop the audio files. So again, just painting Konami back into the same corner they have been in for the longest time as just greedy and lazy, and they clearly don't want to put any effort in, and sadly it just keeps cropping up.
Because the thing is, like, nearly 9 times out of 10, whenever a remaster collection gets put out, it's to test the waters for the next main installment. So you have to assume that somewhere down the line they want to do another Metal Gear. I know they did Metal Gear Survive, but that doesn't count. And so it's one of those things where they, are going to do some sort of next numbered installment, some next story installment. Clearly, Kojima isn't involved, even as a consultant or whatever, so far. But it's the same thing with Silent Hill. The next main installment after you get, you can class Ascension as a main installment if you want. I guess we'll see what happens with the story. Silent Hill 2 Remake and then Silent Hill F is the next sort of whatever F's going to be. I don't know whether that's meant to be more of a spin-off. It is helmed by Ryukishi 07, who's like a cult sort of Japanese horror writer. And that's a really cool idea. Like, I like the look of Hill F. I thought that was kind of cool. It was like Project Sakura, I think is what it was called before. But it's that thing of like, okay, you've done the sort of remastery stuff for Metal Gear at least, and the TMNT collection, the Castlevania collection, and then you've done Silent Hill Ascension to sort of like prod the embers and remind people that Silent Hill is a thing. What the hell is the next big step, the next main actual game? And then what the hell does that look like? I don't know if you can course correct from this. Like, it's the weirdest approach to it.
I feel like I'm coming off as such a downer for this, but it's really upsetting, and it's like, I want to be excited about Silent Hill F. I want to be intrigued. Lots of people are, but there's some nagging thoughts there. We haven't obviously seen any gameplay. We just had one reveal. It's being, I could be wrong about this, and I probably should have checked beforehand. I think it's being developed by Neobards, who made the most recent Resident Evil multiplayer games, Resistance and RE-verse. So I don't want to talk ill about them as a developer. I actually quite enjoy. I actually thought Resistance was pretty decent, and RE-verse I think was more of its issues came from Capcom just being like, we want it done by X date, move on kind of thing. That was more of its problem. But they made multiplayer games. Who's to say that this is the next narrative Silent Hill experience? Maybe it's the Silent Hill Battle Royale for all we know. Like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised at this point.
With a purple pyramid head, just 5 different pyramid heads battling it out. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. It's like, as a general comment or whatever on where Konami's at, do you want them to keep going? Like, do you want them to come back, basically? Because I was like, after watching Castlevania, the first 4 seasons, the Trevor Belmont run, Nocturne's fine, but I really, really love the Trevor Belmont stuff. I was like, oh my god, this is such a, like, it never went away in terms of the quality of that IP, but I was like, do something with Castlevania, that's awesome. It's kind of case by case.
I think that's a perfect example of maybe, and we could be completely wrong. Maybe these future projects are absolutely going to soar. My worry is that some of them are going to be Konami's too close to the development. I think they've done the right thing in giving it to other people, however you feel about Bloober Team and Neobards or whoever, whatever. But Konami just kind of giving these licenses out to people is the way to go, because that's essentially what happened with the Castlevania show. I don't think they were particularly involved with it, as is the way with these sort of video game adaptations. So that's the right move. I want them to succeed because they've got some of the best IPs of all time. We've been talking about them throughout this video. I need new Castlevania in my life.
Yes.
I just don't want Konami anywhere near it. So it's a push and pull in that kind of way.
Yeah, it is one of those things where, like, I didn't want to, like, fully give them the benefit of the doubt last year, but I thought that was a cool way of announcing a bunch of stuff. For sure. Like, I like the approach that you just mentioned, the idea of giving the IP to various different people. Kind of the same thing with Star Wars, if you go back a good few decades. What George Lucas apparently originally wanted to do after that set of movies was just give it to different creators and go, here's a toolbox of Star Wars things, what are you going to do with it? And I always like that. It's like, if you're going to sort of like force a franchise to continue, then you need to breathe new life into it. And then however that sort of comes together. And I like the idea of Ascension, like as an idea, just as an idea of a communally driven story. That's a nice, fresh kind of thing to try. It's just that they couldn't resist getting in there with the battle passes, the season passes, the stickers, and then paying to influence the story. So I guess we'll see how it shakes out. This thing's only been live for, I guess it'll be a couple of days by the time this news goes live. Whether it actually does make money and whether there is a diehard community surrounding the way the story plays out. Some of the choices that are being shared about the stuff they're asking the people to vote on is the most random, ridiculous stuff. Some of it I can't even repeat on YouTube. The video will get demonetized. But the fact of what they're asking people to vote on is just, what the hell is this? But we'll keep an eye on it. For now, I didn't even introduce us at the start of the video, but I've been Scott Tailford. That's been Cy White.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening. Let us know what you think about Silent Hill Ascension and Silent Hill in general down in the comments below, and we'll catch you very soon. Goodbye.